Good evening, everyone, or good morning or good afternoon, wherever you're calling from. Welcome to the Positive Impact Rating webinar on starting your peer journey. Great, we've got so many attending tonight, so really great to see so many students involved in the Positive Impact Rating from different places, and hopefully we can give you a nice informative webinar that can get you started with the peer. For those of you who are watching the recording, also great to have you on board as well, and I hope you also enjoy this webinar. Before we start getting into anything too detailed on the peer, I just want to introduce myself. So I'm John, and as you've probably all heard from me by email, I'm the Positive Impact Rating Outreach and Marketing Manager. So I'm one of the main contacts for helping you through the survey, helping you through the process of working on the Positive Impact Rating. I'm also glad to introduce you to Juliana Longworth, who's our just newly appointed Positive Impact Rating Student Engagement Coordinator. Maybe Juliana, you can say hi to everyone.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
So Juliana will be actually replacing Autumn, who you may have heard from already. So sadly, Autumn has to step down from the position, but Juliana will be there to support you throughout your journey, and between the two of us, will be the points of contact that can help you out through the different things I'm going to talk about tonight. So the webinar is broadly speaking in 4 parts. The first part, I will just give you a kind of reminder of what the Positive Impact Rating is, in particular for those of you who are quite new to this, and also those who've been part of this before. As a refresher, just an introduction of what we want to achieve for the Positive Impact Rating and why we're doing this. The second part will then go into the survey itself. So I will talk you through the more practical side of things, how the survey works, what the survey looks like, how you can potentially share it with your fellow students, and also the results itself in terms of what you might want to do with them. And I'll show you the portal of what that looks like. We'll then go into a little bit of the sort of campaigning that you'll do in your own campuses, how you might be able to get better response rates from your fellow students. And I'll also introduce you to the media pack that we've created as the team here that helps you out with this. So I've got some materials to share with you, which hopefully makes your life a little bit easier. And then the final part of the webinar will just be a chance for you to ask us questions. If anything you're not sure about or anything you want to clarify, then this is your chance. Do feel free at any point during the webinar as well to send any questions using the chat function, or I'm also happy if you want to just unmute yourself and ask a question about anything during the presentation as well, please do so. Otherwise we can wait till the Q&A, but I'll leave it up to you. It's an open informal session, so we can be open and asking questions at any point. So please don't be afraid to do so. So just a quick introduction to the Positive Impact Rating, or as I say, a refresher for those who maybe haven't been part of this before. So what we're trying to do with the Positive Impact Rating is to change the way that business schools see themselves in terms of the sort of global ranking system, and really trying to change away from this competitive element of trying to be the best, and actually looking more about what is their positive impact on society. So instead of being the best in the world, being the best for the world, as we say on our website. We do this by creating a rating instead of a ranking, where business schools are given then a snapshot of their progress in terms of this positive impact, both kind of socially and environmentally. We use student perceptions to assess the impact of the school. So this is where you come in as the student associations and the students leading on this. We really want to get your voice to tell us how your school is doing in terms of their mission and their strategy for sustainability, and really then using this results as a tool for change in the business school as well. So giving them a chance to, as a business school and as staff, a chance to reflect on what they could do better, and in the eyes of you as the students, how they could do this as well. So it's a tool for collaboration, and we have seen already from the first year results of this where business schools and their students have come together to use these results for making positive change. And we hope that will be something that continues. You're assessing your school on 3 areas. Broadly speaking, these areas cover different aspects of the school's operations. The first one is energizing. So you as students are asked to give us your opinion on how you feel the school is doing in terms of their own governance, their own culture. Are they living up to what they say they want to do? Are they walking the talk in terms of their social and sort of environmental impacts? So really, you're assessing the school against their own ambitions or their own sort of stated strategies around sustainability, and it's your chance to give them feedback on how you feel the sustainable culture around your campus might be. The second then is educating. So really you're focusing on the programs, on the learning methods and the support that the school provides you as students in order to become responsible business leaders and then sort of the next generation of business leaders who will be sort of facing these sustainable challenges in the 21st century. Then the third is engaging. So how are the schools acting as a role model in their own societies? How are they engaging as a public citizen within your societies? And these can be things in terms of how they're engaging with businesses, with social enterprises, with NGOs, as well as just citizens in your own areas. And really, how are they acting in reality as a social sort of a business school with a social mission in terms of that side of things. Some of the steps that we're already in process with, and some of these steps are coming down the line. So as you'll see from the diagram, the registration's been open since October. So I think most of you in this webinar are from schools that have already registered. We're right now obviously in these pre-launch training and events to support you, but these will also continue during the survey process itself as well. The survey is launched next week, so for those who are from schools that have registered already, then you'll be able to access your survey as of the 1st of December. We'll come on to the details of that and what that means just later in the webinar. The survey then is open for almost 3 months. It closes on the 26th of February, and at which time then the positive impact rating team will take the results, and we do our own analysis and work on the presentation of those results to each individual school, as well as then a more general report on the results, which summarizes all of the results that we get and the progress and the findings of the different surveys and different ratings that have happened across different schools. These are shared at an event that we're planning at the World Economic Forum in Lucerne in May 2021. So we'll have what we call a Dean's Dialogue session at the World Economic Forum, where we have business schools, staff, deans, and students as well from some of the leading schools will be invited to join us, and we'll be having a session there where we can really discuss the results, showcase them, but also more importantly, discuss what those results mean in terms of next actions and how business schools can continue looking to improve in terms of their social impact and purposes. So the survey itself, so I'll just spend some time now talking you through how does the survey work and what you need to know. So as I mentioned, it opens on the 1st of December and closes on 26th of February. This basically means then you have 3 months to decide when you yourself, as the students leading this in your own school, want to really focus your campaign. We had some feedback from last year where the survey actually was only open for a shorter amount of time, and actually this doesn't always, the time's not always useful for the students because of different examination periods and different campuses and different schools. So actually we wanted to give more flexibility this year, so we opened it up for longer. This also then allows for some accounting for COVID as well. Some schools right now are completely virtual, some campuses are off limits. This might change going into the new year, so we'll see what happens. But mainly really the flexibility is great for you guys to be able to then think about when you want to really focus a campaign for responses with your fellow students, which we'll come on to as well in a few short slides. So as I mentioned then, broadly speaking, the options are maybe a focused campaign where you think maybe you want to do a 2 or 3 week really intensive campaign for responses. This is something that worked quite well, I think, in a number of schools last year, where they really just had a week or 2 weeks where they really just put a lot of effort into getting the responses they needed. This may be one way that works for you. The other option is then you have a longer campaign, or maybe you have over that 3-month period, you have certain times where you send reminders, you have little mini pushes for responses. Perhaps it also links to different events that are happening at your school as well. Maybe your school has a sustainability week or some other types of events that would be relevant for the survey and for the positive impact rating. So it's really up to you how you want to do this, and obviously then the channels that you use, which we'll talk about later as well. But I think it's important just to mention as well that throughout the whole campaign, Juliana and myself, we're here to support with all that work that you do in your own campuses, and we can provide you with some guidance and some other materials, but also we really want you as the students leading on this to also make this your own campaign as well. So we're kind of guides on the side, as we like to sort of refer to ourselves. When the survey gets sent to you next week, you'll get a link for a unique URL for your own school survey. So we have a central online portal where all the surveys are stored. So we create an individual survey portal for each school. This will be sent to each of you as the student representatives leading on this in your school. And then there'll be a link and there'll be one access code, which all the students will use to access the survey. So because there's only one access code, then what's quite important to keep in mind then is that you don't share the access code with anybody through things like social media or open websites or anything like that. Obviously, you can raise awareness of the survey through these methods, but actually it's important that you try not to share the access code widely, because then obviously you can get responses from anybody, maybe not in the school, and that might reduce the integrity of the survey itself. So this is where it's important to work with your school as well. One of the benefits this year of having the schools register and pay the fees is actually then they're really on board with this themselves. So you should be able to then work with the faculty staff to be able to get access perhaps to student emails, to be able to actually then send this through more formal and maybe private channels to the students. So these are things to think about as well when you're starting your campaigns. But as I say, just a kind of note, just to be careful with how you share particularly the access code to the survey. The responses themselves, we aim to get a minimum of 50 responses from undergraduate and from master's students, so 100 in total. This is sort of based on the methodology that was created for the positive impact rating, where this number is the sort of base number that we would hope to get a valid and reliable set of data to use for the school. I think with this year again, with the schools in cooperation, I think it should be, for most schools that are of a sort of middle to larger size, this should be a fairly achievable number, and we'd hope to get actually a lot more responses. And of course, if a school is quite small, there are some management schools out there that are small and private perhaps, then we can also take that into account if the numbers are lower. So we can also be flexible with that depending on the total number of students in your schools. I'll show you a bit later on, but you can also monitor this on the dashboard that you'll get the link to for the results. This will be open to you as well from early on in the process. And you'll be able to see actually in real time how many responses you have, and then obviously how many responses you might need to make this minimum number. So the survey itself, I'm just going to walk you through what it looks like on the screen when you and your students log into this. So when they first get the link, this is basically what they will see, the first page of the survey. You'll see here actually quite important information. It takes around about 8 minutes to complete. That's the average time. Something you might want to also mention perhaps in some of the communications, just so it doesn't sound so unattractive to complete a survey. If it's a short survey, people are more likely to complete it. So the first two questions are really just about the integrity of the survey. So obviously the students are asked to respond honestly and truthfully. And then when we just make the pledge that the personal data is going to be anonymized and everything, so we make sure to protect that anonymity of the responses. So we ask in the first window here the students just to name their study program. This is just purely for more demographic data and data that might be useful for you and your school to be able to then cross-reference some of the responses and some of the results and see which programs were most engaged with the survey, etc. Just a bit of information that we ask at the beginning. You'll see as well as a study program, we ask for the origin of the student. So are they a national of the country where the business school is based, or are they an international student? Then you'll see the question about the level of study. So obviously we use this data, one, just for the more general demographic data to find out who are the most responsive, but also we have the minimum number actually for both categories. So we also need that data to assess if we're getting the response rates that we would like as well. Then we ask how long the students have studied at the business school. So this gives us a sense then, again, to be able to cross-reference some of that data and be able to, for your own analysis, be able to see what level of students are answering the questions, perhaps if there's any patterns there with how long they've been at the school for or not, in terms of how they think the school is sustainable. And then again, just for demographic data, we ask the age of the respondent as well. Then the final question in terms of demographics is the gender. So there's obviously the three options there to answer. And then we go on to the survey itself. So in the first screen, you'll see it's in 3 parts here. And like I mentioned in one of the earlier slides there's obviously the 3 different areas that we seek to explore through the survey. This first one is for the energizing of the school culture, of the school and its culture. So we give a little bit of the background to that here for the students as well. And then once they click next, then they begin with the questions. You'll see here then, this is the first question of the survey. So this is, again, it's about the school's vision and mission. It's around that kind of governance aspect. You'll see the questions are almost in the form of statements. And then the students are asked to then rate on the scale between 1 and 10, how much they agree or disagree. There's also an option for I'm not sure. So maybe there are some students that just don't know the answer to certain questions or certain statements, but we try to encourage the students to at least give their perceptions of these things. This first one then is the school's mission and vision includes sustainability and societal engagement. So you're being asked then to give your own perception of how much you agree that sustainability and societal engagement is really a strong part of the school's mission that you're from your, as I say, from your own perception. Once you complete that part, there's other questions. I'm just showing you the first question for each part, just so you get the feel for it. Once you've completed all the questions of part 1, then you'll see this screen here where you have you're asked for additional feedback to the positive impact rating team. This is feedback to us as the positive impact rating, not feedback to your school, just to make that clear. This is it's a space for you to be able to, as students of your school, to be able to just give us any feedback on, do you think there's things we're missing? Is there other topics that fit under this particular area that could be included? Are there questions perhaps that are not so clear? This is just a general chance for feedback from the students who are completing the survey so we can learn from this and continue to keep improving the positive impact rating over time. Then you go on to part 2. So this is a bit about the education side of things. So how is the school preparing you as future leaders around sustainability? Again, once you complete part 2, there'll be the additional feedback. So we ask for each part so we can really get that feedback specific to each area and each topic. And then part 3 would then be the engaging part. So the school is a role model and the school in their own society. And you'll see again, the questions are the same with the scale. So it's again the form of a statement. The school's graduates are well prepared to deal with sustainability challenges in their jobs. And again, between 1 to 10, then the students will decide how well they're being prepared for sustainability challenges. And again, there'll be further questions in each part that they'll be asked to complete. Again, the feedback to the peer team. And then before you finish the survey, there is 3 additional questions. These are open questions. So we want this is a real chance for the students to give their reflections and suggestions within the survey. These are going to the school, not to us. This is a chance to really tell your school 3 things: what they should stop doing in support of its commitment to providing management education for positive impact, what they should continue doing for positive impact, and what they should start doing for positive impact. So 3 things that, or 3 areas that you can really give your opinions and ideas and suggestions to the school. And this is the part really, I think, where that reflection and that aspect of the positive impact rating as a tool for change really can come into play. Then finally, we just get some feedback to ourselves. So we ask for a lot of feedback in our positive impact rating survey as we want to keep improving it. So you just give us some feedback in general on if you like the survey or not, and then if there's anything else that you feel that could be improved within our survey. Then finally, the submission button, and you'll see here that the students will be also informed about the results and how the results are going to be transmitted via social media and at the World Economic Forum in Lucerne, etc. So these are all bits of information for your own students. Then is the actual results portal itself, which I'll come on to now. So once the students have completed this survey through that process, by the end of February, you can then start to think about their results. They're collected by us as the PIR methodology team. These are analysed through the system we have, and with the team here in place, we look at the results. We create the portal where you'll be able to see your own results of your own school, but we also then do the analysis and more general report that brings together all the results and the findings from all the schools combined for this particular edition. The results will be given to you as the student organizations and also the staff at your schools by May 2021. And this is where you can really then start to think about how you want to use the results. We've seen from last year, a lot of the student associations were able to then take these results to their business schools and really sit down with them, go through what the results mean, what the schools could be starting, stopping, continuing doing, and other aspects around the findings. And in many cases, there was some really positive responses from the business schools. A lot of them have now worked with the students on action plans around developing more sustainable curricula, putting in more sustainable infrastructure or different projects on campus, working more with social enterprises and other responsible businesses as part of student projects and other things. So really, there's been some positive changes that have occurred from this, and this is something we hope to continue. And I'm sure we'll be able to support you through some of these aspects as well, and we'll look to have some support and maybe some events around the time of the results as well to help you through this. The portal itself then, so what you'll see, you'll be able to see this screen, I think almost from the start. And this then will give you the sort of live updates of how many responses you've got. You'll see actually last year we had a minimum of 60 responses. This year we're aiming for the 100. So you'll see then, you'll be able to see if you're actually meeting that minimum. You'll also see here there's the levels. So this is just a reminder really of what each level means and what score the school has to achieve to reach each level. So from level 1 is a sort of beginning school in terms of social impact, through emerging, progressing, transforming, and then if your school scores very highly, then try a pioneering school. The majority of the schools last year were within the progressing and transforming side of things. And in fact, we didn't have any pioneering schools. So there's still space for a school to be the first to do that. If you scroll down on this particular screen, then the next thing you'll see is your school's just general score that they achieve. You'll see in this example here, the school scored 6.6. This made them a progressing school. Sorry, forget the categories myself. So this school was progressing, and they were able to then get this the score of 6.6, an average score of the 3 different areas. If you actually click on the Show Detailed Results button, then you actually get the breakdown per area. So you'll see then the energizing score was actually above 7, giving them a 7.4 average, but actually down a bit below, they were 6.4 for engaging. So the school itself had in terms of their governance and culture, was fairly strong, but could do better, as you'll see here on the educating and engaging side of things. Then there's the 3 open questions, and if you click on to open up these different questions here, you'll see then you'll get the full results of each of them. These are very long, and I've just taken the first 3 from each of them just to show you as an example. But actually, if you think this particular school, for example, had 190 responses, so actually this would then be 190 comments basically per question. So there's quite a lot to take into account in terms of the analysis there. But this is where you get the really sort of rich data in terms of suggestions and in terms of the more detailed responses that the students give. As I mentioned, the results communication, we will be releasing the full report that we create at the World Economic Forum. And as I say, there's space there for students and staff from leading schools and other schools to attend as well. We then hope to continue the dialogue really, and we'll be having webinars and other such events around the time of the results launch, and hopefully in the period after as well, when those important discussions might be happening with staff and students across the different schools, and of course then continuing into future editions of the Positive Impact Rating as well. We'll also provide you with other sort of media materials and things you can also use for the results side of things. I'll come on to the sort of media pack that we've created a little bit later, where these are all kind of aimed at the launch and aimed at the responses you might get. And then once we come to the results communication, we'll also be able to provide you with things you can use for social media, news articles, etc. So that's the survey. That's the survey portal. So then the next part now is about how you might be able to campaign and get more responses. As I mentioned, the kind of ethos and the way we want to work with the positive impact rating is that it's your rating, it's your project on your own campus to be able to take this and reach out to your fellow students the way you think is the most relevant. So you know yourselves what are the sustainable issues, what are the types of things that might really spark the interest of your fellow students to be part of this. But we do have some materials to help support with that. And if there's anything else you do need from us at any time, as I said before, Juliana and myself are here to support you. And we'll be able to help as much as we can from our side with this outreach to your students. With that in mind, then we've created a media pack, which has several things that you can use already. I'm going to click on the link and switch my screen, and I'll be able to show you what we have. So this is the news. So we have a news article, which we've created as a sort of template article, which you can adapt for your own purposes. And hopefully it's big enough for you to get at least a sense of it. We'll share this with you just in the coming days for each of you who've registered. So really, we've just written an article which is all about the positive impact rating, about how it's coming to your school. You'll see there in the yellow. We've given suggestions of where you can add your own personal details, such as the name of the school or your student association or whoever's organizing the survey from the student perspective. You might want to put a quote from the student representative or peer, maybe a quote from a staff member, and then the rest of it is more general information about the positive impact rating, which we've provided for you, so you don't have to find anything yourself and write anything yourself. So you can use that news article perhaps in collaboration with your faculty staff, with your school staff. I'm sure there's a website with news that we could put this onto, maybe some emails that go around giving school news updates, etc. So I'm sure there's places you could put this news article for people to read. We also have an email template for responses that we've created for you. There's 4 emails we've created that you can use for different times of the process. There's the launch email. So I've just created a bit of text here, which you might want to use and adapt for yourself. Just all about the positive impact rating coming to campus, etc. There's a couple of reminder emails. So just during the process itself, emails that you can continually send to students to keep the momentum and keep reminding them that this survey is there to be completed. And then the final reminder email as well, just to try and get that push for responses at the end, which actually we find is probably some of the most important times to actually get that push for responses, is when the deadline is actually approaching. I will share all these documents with everyone just in the coming days. We're just putting together the final media pack, and you'll be given the link to all these documents, as I say, before the survey is launched on Tuesday. But thanks for your question, Pauline. And then finally, we also have, as part of some of the suggested posts that we have, we've also created some social media templates. Again, make these your own, adapt them as you feel you need to. But these are just some ideas that we've created for Twitter, for Instagram, for LinkedIn. You can also, if you want to make videos and do other creative stuff, that's completely up to you. But these are some of the things that we can do from our side that help just make the process a bit easier for you potentially. And then we've just included some of our own Twitter handles and Instagram account links as well. So you're linking it to the bigger momentum of the positive impact rating as well. So these are all similar to the emails. There's some that would be appropriate for the beginning of the campaign, and some, as you scroll down, are more for the end of the campaign. So sort of trying to get people attention, not to miss their chance to tell their school how to improve, etc. So like I said, these will be shared with you in the coming days with all the links that you need. We also have a Canva account, which we have a sort of Canva Pro account, and we can create groups on that. So we've created a group for the positive impact rating, which then allows you to be able to access some of the materials that we've created on Canva and edit them, save them as your own, and just make use of the fact that we have a bit more flexibility with more templates and more pictures, etc., through the Canva Pro account. And obviously then we have our positive impact rating logo and other things you might want to use as well that are all on there too. So this will be, again, we'll send you the link to this and invite you to the Canva group for those of you who have registered and your school is part of this. And at any time, if you have any other things that you think would be useful, things that we could potentially provide for you, just let us know. We're happy to take feedback and to get more ideas of how we can better support you. So if there's something in the media pack that you think is missing or would be really useful for you to have, then please do let us know, and Juliana and I can try to create this for you. So I'm going to finish off just a few tips, just based on some of the feedback we had from students last year, just in terms of how they got the most responses. The first one is then to tailor the campaign. So think about the fact that you're going to have different audiences, even within your own school. Business schools are quite varied. You might have your more kind of creative thinking marketing students versus the more kind of logical thinking accounting students. They might have different motivations in terms of what makes them tick, what makes them interested in. You're going to have different degrees of sustainability knowledge and how much they are actually into sort of sustainability aspects of things. So you might have to try and speak to those who are super engaged in sustainability and those who are just maybe casually interested or maybe not interested at all, and trying to convince them. So there might be potentially different mini campaigns within your own sort of general campaign on campus. So think about the audience that you might be going for there. Think about different ways to send out the survey link. Obviously, the email is the main way. If you're working with your school and trying to get this out to as many people as possible, particularly with the password that you needed to access it. But there's also been innovative ways of other schools have used. So students in other schools have used QR codes before in lectures and then provided the password as well on the lecture slide. So then students can then just very quickly take a picture of the QR code, access the survey on their phones, and then even complete the survey there and then potentially in the lecture. This is something you could also think about doing in different ways if you're on campus, doing any campaigning. And of course, then there's with the sort of COVID world and the virtual world, maybe there's some other ways you can think of on different virtual platforms and lecture platforms that could also help with that. Collaborate with the faculty. So I think it's really, again, some of the feedback from last year was that the students that really worked closely with their schools had the most success in getting numbers. So I think with the schools registering this year and really being part of this from the beginning, I think this should be it should be easier to achieve this close collaboration and really try to use that collaboration as much as possible. I mean, you're going to have access to hopefully sort of general mail outs that the school can do. You can reach most of your faculty and most of your school with the click of a button, really, if you're working with the communication teams in your school. You'll have access perhaps to be able to post things on the school website, on the school social media platforms. So I really recommend that you find out who are the communication officers in your school, who are the people that are employed by the school to do this kind of thing anyway, and really work with them as much as you can. Be flexible. Perhaps maybe in the first weeks, you're not getting the numbers you need or the strategy isn't quite working. So think about how you might want to revisit that and think about different methods that you might need to try, particularly with the uncertainty right now with COVID. Some schools are completely virtual, some are kind of mixed. Perhaps by February you might be back on campus again, so you could switch the campaign more to sort of in person. So it really depends on circumstances and if you think the campaign itself is working in the first place. And then, as I mentioned already, that final push is really actually one of the most important phases. People tend to respond to a deadline. So at the moment, if you give them a deadline of 26th of February, then it's far away. They're not going to necessarily be really pushing to complete the survey. They can put it off for a few weeks, for a few months. So really, it's when you get to that final phase of the campaign is when people really are called into action, as they say in marketing. So this is the time to really kind of save some time, save some effort for that final push, and really consider the timing of your efforts and campaign as well for that. So there's a chance now for some questions. I see there's a few in the chat, which I'm just going to bring up and have a look at. Oops, go back here. So Susanna, you're asking about the visual materials to be used in the social media posts. Yes, so we'll share them with the Canva link. You'll have the chance to get those materials. So we do have some visual materials that we've created as we've used ourselves already, and we have as templates. The reason we want to do this through the Canva link is to give you the chance to adapt them. Because if we gave you just visual materials as they are, then perhaps it would be maybe not so relevant to your school. So by doing it through Canva, you could add your school's logo, you could add your student association logo, you could change if we have a quote or we have a bit of text on the visual material that mentions the positive impact rating. You could perhaps adapt that slightly for your own school's context. So once we send you the link to the Canva account, you'll be able to see all those materials and yeah, create your own using those templates. And then Mirta, you've asked about the promotion. It should be student driven. Understood from our faculty, they should only really be limited involvement in promotion. It should really be student driven. Yeah, so I think with that, Mirta, I think the important part is that it's your choice to involve the faculty or not, really, or the staff or not. I think what we don't want is the school to kind of impose on you that this is how you should do this. I think it doesn't mean you can't use the big resource that is your faculty and the university staff. But it should be part of a campaign that you yourself, as the student team leading on this, has decided upon, and then leading on that yourself. So that's the main point of trying to have that communication through the school's resources. It's a great resource that you can use as the student team leading on this. So you're not just alone having to try to use just social media or just word of mouth. You've actually got that official backing from the school if you want it. And then Hanish, about the slides. Yes, I will share the slides and then share the recording of this webinar as well after we finish, and then that'll be a chance for you to be able to pass that on to colleagues and any students that you're working with on this within your own schools. And DVS Sudama about the graduation course. Perhaps we can speak about that afterwards, Sudama. I think we can have a look and see what your numbers are, and we can discuss what that might mean for your minimum number of responses. There is some flexibility depending on the size of the school, so I will email you after the call and after the webinar, and we can see what we can do there, and I can then mention that to the positive impact rating board who are responsible for the methodology. And then Sandro asking about, can doctoral or executive education students participate? So I think it's not open to MBA students or to doctoral students. It's only open to students that are really taking part in the top classes more so. I think with the MBA students, it depends on the region, because I think in some parts of the world, an MBA student is more self-taught, particularly when it comes to executive MBAs in certain regions. So perhaps Sandro as well, we can touch base after this by email, and maybe we can see what that might mean for your own school as well. The main part really is that it's about the education of the sort of teaching of the students in taught classes, not so much research degrees, or in some cases, in some executive MBAs, sort of degrees where the students are much more sort of placed in businesses or doing more self-taught study. But we can discuss that perhaps individually and see what your school is doing particularly with the MBA students. And then the final question from Sandro is the survey in English. Yes, the survey is only given in English. So I'm afraid that's just it's an international survey, and we've had to just limit that just now to English language. So you may have to think about how you could support your students through that process if needed. So it's something at the moment we can't really provide in other languages. And then Luis is asking about the personalized links. So yeah, it's, as I mentioned, there's one link, and there's one pass key for the survey. This is just the way that our portal operates at the moment, is that we can only provide this standard link and standard access code to get into the survey. So this is why it's quite important then that you don't share the access code too widely on your social media and things. So you have to consider then how you can balance the sharing of the awareness raising of the positive impact rating survey on your campus, but also then not providing the link that anybody who just happens to be reading your social media account could access, because then it might affect the integrity in terms of the survey, because anybody could log on and answer it. So we want to try to keep that to students, obviously. So there may be other ways that you can think about how you share the access key. It could be maybe you set up a Google form or something. So if they just give you their interest through a form, then they're given the access key or something like that. There could be ways to think about how you could share that, so it's not going to be publicly available to potentially non-students. But again, we can also provide some guidance there, and perhaps we can find out a bit more maybe about some strategies that other students have used in other associations in the first edition. And from Susanna about the questions, yes, broadly speaking, the same as last year. I think we made a couple of minor alterations to the wording of a few questions, but the 20 questions in general are almost the same as last year. There's not been any radical changes. There are some plans potentially to expand the scope and expand the positive impact rating dimensions at some point in the future, but for this year it's the same as it was in 2020. So we are we're very much keeping to the same questions, the same methodology this year. And Susanna, you're saying about the landing page mentioning ranking. Good question. I'll just have to check that and see if that's the case. Then we'll definitely have to change that, because we're definitely don't want to be seen as a ranking. So if that's the case, then well spotted, and I will raise that with the team that's creating the survey landing page and make sure that's corrected. So yeah, thanks very much for spotting that. And also thank you to Sandro as well for the offer of translation for the next edition of the PIR. That's something we should definitely look into, and yeah, with the support of others involved, then let's see if we can potentially do something there. So yeah, big thanks for that offer too. Are there any other questions? And also feel free to unmute yourselves if you also want to ask a question. Have a break from my voice.
This is Susanna again asking. I see. Yeah, hello. I was just wondering about the question concerning how many years the students have studied. I think our students will answer in the middle of the academic year, so maybe it would be easier to answer if you are a first or second or third or fourth year student, instead of saying how many years you have studied. Would you say you have studied 1 year if you are in the middle of the second year, or how? Well, this was just something I was wondering.
It's a good question, actually. Yeah, yeah. Maybe that's something that could be more clear for the students in terms of helping with that. I mean, it's not critical data, but it's true that it should be more clear. And it's not too late, I think, to change that before we launch. So I will run that suggestion by the team here as well and see what they think. And it should be something fairly simple to change. But it's a good point. Are there any other questions from anybody before we finish up? We still have some time.
Susanna, again, a comment and asking that we would get the materials as soon as possible. It will take some time to get quotes from people, for example, to the news article, and so it would be very nice to get it as soon as possible.
No problem. Yeah, we can send that before the end of this week for sure, and we'll get those media packs out to everyone. They're almost ready, so we're pretty much ready to send them, so that's not a problem, and it's a good point as well. So we'll give you time to mobilize your own staff and your own students for those types of things.
Hi, John, Juliana. Thank you for the webinar. One quick question, please. I understand you're going to make public the results for those business schools entering the 3 levels you mentioned, right? For the ones that do not achieve those levels, is there going to be some kind of report around what could be improved, or it's only the information that will be registered in the database that we can access?
So for the schools that achieve the level of 1 or 2, yes, you're correct. We don't publicly name them in the report. We try to be as positive as possible with what we mention in the report. But you will have access to all the data and all the feedback and all the I guess the reasoning perhaps behind why maybe you haven't achieved such a higher score. So yeah, that's part of the sort of methodology of the PIR really as well, is that even if you don't maybe achieve a rating that you're hoping to achieve, it's a learning tool. You can find out perhaps then from your students what you could improve on for next time, and then it gives you then the chance to work on that for future editions. So you'll get all the full information of the survey results. And
okay.
Yeah, and
thank you very much.
No problem. And then Shivani just asking, I believe it's open to all masters, including MBA, except executive MBA. Yeah, that's correct. So it's any sort of MBA that's being taught is part of this. Any MBA that's not so much involving lessons and teaching, and which includes then some executive MBAs, then that would not be so eligible for them to answer. So MBAs who are doing a more sort of standard MBA, particularly from the European model and other kind of models based on that, then that would be acceptable for them to join as a sort of master's level student. Okay, are there any final questions before we wrap up for the evening or for the morning, depending where you are? Okay, I will thank everyone for attending. It was really great to have you all here for this webinar. And if there's any further questions you have in the build up to the PIR, or obviously, of course, during the actual survey collection, then you'll see both of our email addresses on the screen here. So do reach out to both of us at any point, and we'll be able to hopefully help you as much as we can. We're also going to have a help desk, which will be open every week for you to drop into. This will be on a Wednesday, and it'll be at 8 till 8:30 Central European time in the morning, and 6 till 6:30 Central European time in the evening, which we'll also communicate after the webinar as well. But this will be a weekly Zoom meeting where you can just drop in. If you have a question for us, we'll always be there in the room at that time. And this gives you a chance then to be able to ask anything, or to just throw a few ideas around, or anything that you want to mention to us. So we'll be communicating that to you as well as part of the build up. But other than that, I will say good evening, or good morning, or good afternoon, and yeah, have a great rest of your day. Thanks a lot for everyone for joining.